313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. the Superstation, WFDF here in Detroit. We're also broadcasting on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. All right, so I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday, May 19th. We discussed the passing of Jim Brown. We talked about his NFL career, and he retired from the league in 1955. We talked about his movie career some, and we also dealt with the fact that he was an activist as well. Okay, we dealt with his activism. We talked some about his relationship with Muhammad Ali, and I mentioned the movie One Night in Miami that came out a couple of years ago. One Night in Miami, that was directed by Regina King, and it's a fictitious account of a party, a meeting that they had the night that Muhammad Ali won the heavyweight championship from Sonny Liston. Okay, that was February 25th, 1964. And it was Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. It was Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, and Malcolm X. Okay, they met at Malcolm X's hotel room. All right, so I'm going to share some segments with you from Roland Martin Unfiltered, where we discussed Jim Brown, and we also mentioned the Cleveland Summit as well. The Cleveland Summit from 1967. Okay, and the Cleveland Summit was dealing with when Muhammad Ali was banned from boxing for refusing to take a step forward to be drafted into the Army. All right, so we'll discuss that also. All right, Doug, I'm hearing something in the black background, something playing in the background, or something is audio playing or something like that. I need to know if that's on your end or my end, because I need to stop it. Okay, so we'll discuss legendary Jim Brown also. Okay, in our first segment. Now we'll talk about the Little Mermaid, and the reason why I want to revisit this is because we dealt with this back in October 2022. I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered, and we talked. We spoke with Dr. Greg Carr, chair of the Afro-American Studies Department at Howard University. Also Dr. Jason Nichols and Reecie Colbert. Okay, so I'm going to share that segment with you again, because one of the things we talked about is how these movies, these cartoons from Disney, and a lot of these cartoons that have a European theme send negative messages to African-American children, and the need for us to have our own cartoons that are created by us for our children, etc. Also, the concept of the mermaid. The first mermaid will probably be the goddess Mami Wata. Mami Wata that we see in African spiritual systems like Ifa. Okay, so there's a good article from face-to-faceafrica.com that deals with Mami Wata, and we're going to discuss that also on today's show. Now, at the top of our second hour, we're going to be joined by Greg McKenzie with the Detroit African Liberation Day organization. African Liberation Day is coming up Friday, May 26th, Saturday, May 27th. It's going to be held at Al-Kibalan Village here in Detroit. So we'll give you some information on African Liberation Day as well. He's with the African Liberation Day Planning Committee, Detroit. We've had Greg on the show before. Then also, there was a last Saturday, which would have been May 20th. May 13th. Saturday, May 13th. President Joe Biden gave the commencement address at Howard University. And the commencement address is making some news because of some comments that President Joe Biden has made about white supremacy. And Fox News was not happy with President Joe Biden's commencement address to Howard University, which one Fox host called, quote unquote, pandering, and led another Fox host to declare America the, quote, least racist country in the world, end quote, the least racist country in the world. I don't know what survey they looked at for that or anything of that nature. Now, President Joe Biden said racism has long torn us apart. Biden told the crowd during his speech to the historically Black university, Howard University in Washington, D.C., where Vice President Kamala Harris graduated from. And he said it's a battle that's never really over. Okay. The president then called white supremacy, quote, the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland, end quote, the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland. And he said, I'm not saying this because I'm at a Black HBCU. He said, I say it wherever I go. Now, he's absolutely telling the truth. Now, the problem is Fox News can't handle the truth. Over at Cleopatra TV, the probably the number one cable news destination for white supremacists, they can't handle the truth. But President Joe Biden is absolutely correct. Now, Biden has made efforts to combat white supremacy during his administration, including a national strategy to counter domestic terrorism, including racially or ethnically motivated violent extremism. But his statements at Howard University ruffled some feathers at Cleopatra TV, also known as Fox News. And it is misleading to have the word Fox and news, it is misleading to have the word news follow Fox. Okay. Because a lot of that is not news. Okay. A lot of that is just a conspiracy theory and a lot of misinformation. Okay. They do have some journalists on Fox News who do report some news, but a lot of them, a lot of them don't do that. And they just got rid of Tucker Carlson, luckily so, rightfully so. And we know that Tucker Carlson said he's going to launch a show on Twitter. We'll see how that works out. Okay. All right. So we'll discuss those topics and more on the African History Network show today. Calling numbers 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. We had two great classes this weekend, online classes that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school, and Black resistance movements from the Haitian Revolution, U.S. Civil War, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement, 1800 to 1968. Now, on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, also on Saturday, this was a busy weekend. I taught 2 online classes. I'm doing my radio show. And Saturday afternoon, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, I interviewed Dr. Molefi Kete Asante. And Dr. Molefi Kete Asante is one of our preeminent scholars when it comes to African history, African American history. He's the writer of over 100 books and over 500 articles. And he coined the term Afrocentricity. I interviewed him about the documentary series from Jada Pinkett-Smith, African Queens, and the installment dealing with Queen Cleopatra. So I'm going to try to squeeze in an excerpt also of that interview that I did with Dr. Molefi, Kete, Asante. You can watch that full interview on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. And you know, I had Dr. Charles Finch on. A couple weeks ago as well, 2 or 3 weeks ago. We had Dr. Charles Finch on dealing with the same topic. All right, you listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, WFDF. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. Calling numbers 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by, everybody. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by, back from break in 3 minutes. All right, stand by, back from break in 4 minutes. Back from break in 2 minutes. Back from break in 1 minute.
Hotel. On the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African throughout the diaspora and around the world. A lot of people don't know what the hell they're talking about. They may have their areas of expertise, but some people need to learn how to stay in their own lane. If you don't know, just say you don't know. We have a lot to talk about, so we're going to jump right into this.
Catch it all right here on 910 AM Superstation.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation. All right. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. Okay, so we got the news on Friday, May 19th. We got the news that NFL Hall of Famer Jim Brown passed away at age 87. Now, I have not seen a cause of death yet, but we did get this news, and it was shocking. It was shocking to everybody. Washington Post had a really good article. Jim Brown, Hall of Fame running back and actor, dies at 87. He dominated the NFL in the 1950s and 60s, then left football for movies and activism. So Jim Brown, who was often called the greatest football player of his time, but who gave up the sport at the peak of his career in the 1960s, declaring himself a highly paid, over-glamorized gladiator, over-glamorized gladiator, and turned instead to acting and activism, died May 18th at his home in Los Angeles. He was 87. Now, his wife, Monique Brown, announced the death in an Instagram post, but did not cite a cause. Jim Brown was one of the most gifted all-around athletes of the past century. He excelled in lacrosse, basketball, and track and field, and was virtually unstoppable during his 9 years as a powerhouse fullback with the Cleveland Browns in the 1950s and 60s. So his last year playing was in 1965. His first movie was The Dirty Dozens. I think that was his first movie, The Dirty Dozens, and The Dirty Dozen. And I remember seeing The Dirty Dozen as a kid also. That was one of his first movies. He was in more than 50 movies, and many of them action films, such as Ice Station Zebra and 100 Rifles. Ice Station Zebra came out in 1968, 100 Rifles 1969, and if I remember correctly, The Dirty Dozen was his first movie. Now, in breaking almost every rushing record in the National Football League, he was something completely new. Journalist and sports author David Halberstam wrote in 2001. He said, quote, "I have never seen a running back who was so much better than everyone else. I have never seen a running back who was so much better than everyone else, who did what he did at the time he was doing it. He dominated his field and his era like few athletes ever have, perhaps matched only by Babe Ruth and Bill Russell, because we know Bill Russell dominated on the basketball court as well. And Bill Russell has 9 championships with the Boston Celtics, and he has 2 championships as a coach, 9 as a player and 2 as a coach. Now, at 6'2" and about 230 pounds, Jim Brown had an unmatched blend of strength and speed that enabled him to lead the NFL in rushing in 8 of his 9 years with the Cleveland Browns. When he retired after the 1965 season, his 12,312 career rushing yards, 12,312 career rushing yards were a record that would stand for 19 years until Walter Payton of the Chicago Bears broke the record. Now, Jim Brown ran for more than 1,000 yards in a season 7 times, and his 1,863 rushing yards in 1963 stood as the NFL record until surpassed by the Buffalo Bills' O.J. Simpson 10 years later. Okay, now we're going to clip number 1, Doug. On Friday, May 19th, I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered, and we discussed Jim Brown and his legacy. And I want to go to this clip here because Roland goes to his panel. Let's go to clip number 1, please, Doug.
I'll start with you, Michael, and that is, when we talk about, you listen to Kublai there are very few people who, when they walked into the room, they demanded a level of respect. Jim Brown was one of those guys. He seemed like you never ever saw Jim Brown smile, but he had the demeanor that could demand that level of respect from some of the toughest cats you can ever think of.
Yeah, I think he did. I never met Jim Brown, but I think that's correct. There was an interview he did with the Washington Post in 1979 where he talked about it being very difficult for white America to understand that if you are part of football's elite, while you're not satisfied with the recognition and the money, he wanted all of his rights as an American citizen. I remember growing up. So I was born in 71. So he retired from the NFL in 65. Probably my earliest memories of Jim Brown was seeing the movie The Dirty Dozen and watching it on TV. Okay, he was in the movie The Dirty Dozen. I remember he was in the movie Riot as well. Then I saw the blaxploitation movies, Three the Hard Way, one of my favorite movies. Okay, Three the Hard Way with probably the first black martial arts star, which was Jim Kelly. Okay, they were in that movie together. He's in the Slaughter movies as well. Then in the 1990s, he's in the movie The Original Gangsters, which reintroduces these what were termed in Ebony magazine blaxploitation stars, reintroduces them to another generation. Okay, and then you have the work that he did, the anti-gang violence work. I remember watching on CNN, like when the Rodney King verdict happened and the rebellion that took place after that, and Jim Brown talking about the work he was doing with Mayor Khan as well. And lastly, Roland, in the past couple of years, there's a movie that Regina King directed called One Night in Miami, which is a fantastic movie which deals with the fictional account of the night of February 25th, 1964, after Cassius Clay defeats Sonny Liston. And it's a fictitious account of a party that Malcolm X had back at his hotel room with Jim Brown, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, and Sam Cooke. It's a fantastic movie. So, we really need to study Jim Brown. There may be some things that we disagree with here and there. The picture that you're showing right there at the Cleveland Summit, 1967, after Muhammad Ali is stripped of his title as well. And you have these African-American athletes. You have Lou Alcindor, before it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I think it was Lou Alcindor. You have Bill Russell, etc. Many of them right there for different reasons. But it's important for us to study these African-American men.
All right, hold tight 1 second. I got to go to a break. And, of course, in that photo, you saw Jim Brown and Bill Russell. We lost Bill Russell earlier this year. Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. alluded to that. I'll read his statement when we come back. Folks, you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Okay, pause it right there. All right, so when we come back from the break, we're coming up on the break. I'll play another segment from Roland Martin Unfiltered when I was on Friday, and we talked about Jim Brown. I mentioned the movie One Night in Miami. Fantastic movie directed by Regina King, and it is a fictional account of the party that they had the night that Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay won the championship for Sonny Liston in 1964. And it was at Malcolm X's hotel room. Malcolm X, Jim Brown, Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, and Sam Cooke. This article here from biography.com entitled "The True Story Behind One Night in Miami" Instead of throwing a big party to celebrate Muhammad Ali's 1964 win over Sonny Liston, Ali, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown quietly met to celebrate the victory. Okay. And you see this picture here of Muhammad Ali eating, I think it's ice cream, and Malcolm X looking over his shoulder. The idea of Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Sam Cooke, and Malcolm X sitting around a hotel room in the mid 1960s to discuss matters of religion, politics, and race sounds like the basis for a work of fiction. And indeed, it found life in the 2013 stage play One Night in Miami by Kemp Powers, who went on to adapt his script for a 2020 featured film directed by Academy Award winner Regina King. Okay, we'll talk about this, and also we'll talk about the Little Mermaid and more on the other side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by, back from break in 4 minutes. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Stand by. Give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like on this broadcast. Invite your friends to tune in. Stand by. Back from break in 3 minutes. Back from break in 2 minutes. Back from break in 1 minute.
The African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. A lot of people don't know what the hell they're talking about. They may have their areas of expertise, but some people need to learn how to stay in their own lane. If you don't know, just say you don't know. We have a lot to talk about, so we're going to jump right into this.
Catch it all right here on 910 AM Superstation. The views and opinions expressed on any program of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation or Adele Media.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation. Okay, right before the break, we were talking about the passing of Jim Brown. He passed away Thursday, May 18th, 2023, at the age of 23. And I was talking about the one night in Miami, which was the night of February 25th, 1964, when Cassius Clay defeated Sonny Liston. And they had a party together at Malcolm X's hotel room. Okay, Malcolm X, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown. All right. Now, so this was a 2013 stage play called One Night in Miami, and it was also adapted. The script was adapted for a 2020 feature film directed by Academy Award winner Regina King. I saw the movie, and it was an excellent movie. But it's also a concept that comes with the based on a true story tag, a surprising twist given the accomplishments of the immensely famous men involved and the secrecy of their fateful meeting that endured even after so many stones of their individual lives have been overturned. The icons gathered to watch Muhammad Ali claim the championship, the heavyweight boxing championship. The story begins with the convergence of the quartet at the Miami Beach Convention Hall on February 25th, 1964, where Muhammad Ali, then still known by his birth name, Cassius Clay, challenged Sonny Liston for the World Heavyweight Boxing Championship of the world. Sam Cooke, the groundbreaking gospel turned pop singer and record label owner, was there to cheer on his good friend from a ringside seat, as was Malcolm X, who they call controversial, but I don't call Malcolm X controversial. Notice that Donald Trump is not called the controversial Donald Trump. He tried to overthrow the government. I don't think Malcolm X tried to overthrow the government, but they call Malcolm controversial. So Malcolm X, Nation of Islam minister, who all but shadowed Ali in the weeks leading up to the event. Now, Jim Brown, the unstoppable and outspoken NFL running back, was close by to provide commentary as part of the bout's radio broadcast team. The fight is remembered as the night Ali shook up the world with his thorough whooping of the heavily favored Sonny Liston, who surrendered the title with his refusal to continue into the 7th round, though the record of what happened next is a little murkier. Okay, so I encourage you to watch the movie One Night in Miami. It deals with a lot of themes of civil rights and sports and empowerment and all different types of things like this. Okay, check out this article here from biography.com, the true story behind One Night in Miami. Instead of throwing a big party to celebrate Muhammad Ali's 1964 win over Sonny Liston, they misspelled Sonny Liston's last name. Ali, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown quietly met to celebrate the victory. This article is from January 11th, 2021, written by Tim Ott, OTT, for biography.com. All right, now I want to go to clip number 2, Doug. This is from Roland Martin Unfiltered from May 19th, 2023. That was on Malcolm X's 98th birthday as well. And we dealt with, we continued our discussion, wrapping up our discussion on Jim Brown. Let's go to clip 2, please, Doug.
That's something that when your other athletes do that. This is the tweet, Instagram post that LeBron James put up. We lost a hero today. Rest in paradise of the legend Jim Brown. I hope every black athlete takes the time to educate themselves about this incredible man and what he did to change all of our lives. We will stand on your shoulders, Jim Brown. If you grew up in Northeast Ohio and were black, Jim Brown was a god. As a kid who loved football, I really just thought of him as the greatest Cleveland Brown to ever play. Then I started my own journey as a professional athlete, and I realized what he did socially was his true greatness. When I choose to speak out, I always think about Jim Brown. I can only speak because Jim broke down those walls for me. I am so grateful that I was able to call you my friend. I hope I can continue to honor your legacy with my words and actions. My prayers to your family. I know they are all incredibly proud of everything you did for our community. Hashtag legends never die. That was LeBron James, folks, talking about Jim Brown. Final comments from my panel. I will start with the fellow Orangeman, Candace Kelly. Candace.
Well, I just want to say that it's amazing to see the seed that he planted and what has grown from it. Because when we look at Jim Brown, he was talking years ago about how athletes and Black bodies were treated, and we're still talking about concussions and how we're treated. And he was talking about agency and making decisions for himself and getting involved in other things that would exercise his mind. And now we're still looking at athletes who are following in his footpath because of the seeds that he planted, because they have their own agency. They're kneeling on the field. They're doing what they need to do in order to make sure that in terms of race and politics in America, that they are keeping, center in that regard. And so I just want to say that, Jim Brown is one of those people that is just hard to duplicate. And a number of people are going to remember him for not only the man that he was on the field, but off the field too, because he was a legacy in both arenas.
I think what people have to understand, Matt, is that when you are an athlete, it's very easy for folks to remember your exploits on the field, on the court, on the baseball diamond. But the reality is you can do more with that. When we think about Muhammad Ali, when we think about Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown, these were true icons who understood the assignment, Jackie Robinson as well. They understood that they could use their power, their force for good to help Black folks, to help the community at large. It wasn't just about them.
I'll take it a step further and say they understood they are duty bound to do that, right? That's what we're hearing from all of his compatriots and everyone who shared memories about Jim Brown, is that he exuded the social responsibility to help solve the gang problem, to be a role model for Black people, to help people understand their leverage and their value. And that's what I hope people take away from this. You control your destiny. Think always how to leave that legacy, but also think about where you are obliged to your fellow person to help them along the way. And, especially in a small insular group like professional athletes, how important is it to have a titan help you along the way and helping you find your own path? So what I hope is instructive to people here is that we have a responsibility to be that for each other. And I think Jim Brown modeled that masterfully.
Michael.
Roland, once again, Jim Brown is somebody we need to study. He's complex as well. And also, we're talking about Jim Brown on the 98th birthday of Malcolm X as well. May 19th is Malcolm X's birthday. And we know that I encourage people to watch that movie from director Regina King, One Night in Miami, because Jim Brown connects us to Malcolm X, connects us to Muhammad Ali, connects us to what's taking place during that period of time and the fight for civil rights and things like this, fighting against racism, etc. And then being an activist at the ground level. So it's one thing to, just do interviews talking about the problem, but he's an activist at the ground level dealing with gang interventions and ceasefires and things of this nature. So he's somebody that needs to be studied. And when we look at many African-American athletes today, you have the right Wayne, the Laura Ingrahams, things like this, telling African-American athletes to shut up and dribble. Okay. She probably would have said the same thing about Jim Brown back in the day as well.
Folks, we will end this tribute by hearing Jim Brown himself. This is what the Browns posted.
Pause it right there. Okay, cool. Now, it's also important to note that now when Jim Brown came out in support of Donald Trump, I don't think Laura Ingraham on Fox News told Jim Brown to shut up and run with the ball. Because in 2016, when Trump won, he went to the White House with Well, he was a Trump supporter, and then it's about 2018 or so he goes to the White House with that fool Kanye West. Okay, so he he has some complexities as well. Now, the article from the Washington Post. Now, I don't know if his support of Trump continued into 2020 when Trump ran for re-election, or if he supported the coup, the attempted coup, the insurrection. I don't know about that. I looked at some things on Jim Brown and Trump, but I didn't see anything dealing with that 2020. It's also important to know. Now, I saw some things on social media. Now, it's in this article here from the Washington Post as well. And it's okay. We'll pick this up on the other side of the break, and we'll squeeze in this story dealing with also President Joe Biden gave a commencement address at Howard University, and he called white supremacy the biggest threat to America, and he's correct. But Fox News didn't like that. I think they are a hit dog hollering. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Back from break in 4 minutes. Back from break in 3 minutes. Back from break in 2 minutes. Stand by.
Michael Imhotep. On the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. A lot of people don't know what the hell they're talking about. They may have their areas of expertise, but some people need to learn how to stay in their own lane. If you don't know, just say you don't know. So we have a lot to talk about, so we're going to jump right into this.
Catch it all right here on 910 AM Superstation.
Welcome back to the African History Network show. All right, let's go back to the article here from the Washington Post, entitled Jim Brown, Hall of Fame running back and actor, dies at 87. This is from May 19th, 2023. Now, the article goes on to say, away from the playing field, however, Mr. Brown could be a complex, contradictory, and troubled man. He was arrested at least 7 times for assault, usually against women, including a 1968 incident in which he was accused of throwing a girlfriend off a second-story balcony. All right, so then it goes on to say, it talks about his acting career, NFL records. He held 15 NFL records as well. Even when he was named NFL Rookie of the Year in 1957, he wasn't always allowed to stay at the same hotels or dine in the same restaurants as his white teammates. He goes on to say, let's see here. Okay, after leading the NFL with 1,544 rushing yards in 1965 and being named the league's most valuable player, Jim Brown spent the offseason filming the World War II action drama The Dirty Dozen, when the movie production was delayed, interfering with the beginning of training camp. Jim Brown stayed with the movie, abruptly retired, and never played football again. Okay. It goes on. Let's see. Then they talk about Amer I Can, the organization that he founded to deal with young men, especially young African-American men. Let's see, where is that? Amer I Can. In 1988, he founded Amer I Can. Okay, it's a play on American. Amer I Can, an organization aimed at fostering self-esteem and diffusing tension among gang members and prisoners. Jim Brown told the Washington Post in 1991, "The young black male is the most powerful source of energy and change we have. My hope is to start a direction where these young men will be given respect and taught how to utilize it. These young men will be given respect and taught how to utilize it." Now, his first marriage to Sue James, S-U-E, Sue James, ended in divorce in 1972. In 2002, he spent nearly 4 months in jail for using a shovel to shatter the windows of a car belonging to his second wife, the former Monique Gunthrop, who was almost 40 years his junior. They remained married after his release. He was predeceased by a daughter and 7 surviving children, but a complete list of survivors was not immediately available. Okay, now the famous photo from June 1967, where we see the athletes around Muhammad Ali. This is from June 4th, 1967. This is known as the Cleveland Summit. The Cleveland Summit. Now, we've talked about the Cleveland Summit here on the show in the past. There's a good article from andscape.com, A-N-D, andscape.com, which deals with the background story behind the iconic photo. The Cleveland Summit and Muhammad Ali, the true story. Historic meeting organized by Jim Brown had an economic incentive. So the impression that we get is that all these athletes, we see Bill Russell, we see Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, we see others, we see Carl Stokes as well, mayor of Cleveland, Carl Stokes, Walter Beach, Bobby Mitchell, Jim Brown, Lou Alcindor, others, Willie Davis. The folklore is that they all rallied around Muhammad Ali to support him after he was stripped of his boxing title. Okay, but that's not really what happened. That's not really why everybody was there. People had different reasons for being there. Some were in support, some were for selfish reasons. Okay, according to legend and countless media reports in subsequent years that failed to challenge the legend, the athletes had come together to decide whether to lend their support to Muhammad Ali, who had been stripped of his heavyweight title and faced charges of draft dodging for his refusal to serve in Vietnam. Ali needed support, that much is true, ever since he changed his name from Cassius Clay, joined the Nation of Islam, and refused to join the military. He had become one of the most reviled men in the nation, hated almost as much by Black Americans as by white ones. So the fact that other Black athletes would convene in support of Ali held significance. Okay, but when you go research this, they had different purposes. Now, this meeting was organized, this press conference was organized by Jim Brown. Jim Brown had a company with Bob Arum, boxing promoter Bob Arum. Before the meeting in Cleveland, boxing promoter Bob Arum and others, including prominent members of the Nation of Islam, tried to persuade Muhammad Ali to accept a deal that one of Bob Arum's law partners had negotiated with the federal government. If Muhammad Ali would agree to perform boxing exhibitions for U.S. troops, the draft dodging charges would be dropped. At the time, Bob Arum was running a company called Main Bout, B-O-U-T, Main Bout, which controlled the closed circuit television rights for Muhammad Ali's fights. Main Bout needed Muhammad Ali to attract closed circuit viewers. Among Bob Arum's partners in Main Bout were Jim Brown. Among Bob Arum's partners in the Main Bout company that controlled the closed circuit television rights for Muhammad Ali's fights was Jim Brown, and two leading figures in the Nation of Islam, Herbert Muhammad, son of the NOI's leader Elijah Muhammad, and John Ali, the NOI's national secretary. John Ali told me that he and Herbert Muhammad profited personally from the agreement with Main Bout. It was not a deal with the Nation of Islam. That meant Bob Arum, Jim Brown, Herbert Muhammad, and John Ali all had an incentive to get Muhammad Ali in the ring as soon as possible. A lot of money was on the line. Read the rest of this article here that deals with the history behind this iconic photo, and it talks about the different interests that people had in this photo as well. Name of the article: The Cleveland Summit and Muhammad Ali, the True Story. Historic meeting organized by Jim Brown had an economic incentive. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. When we come back, we'll speak with Greg McKenzie of the African Liberation Day Planning Committee here in Detroit and talk about African Liberation Day. We'll be back in a few minutes. Back from break in 4 minutes. All right, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Stand by. Back from break in 3 minutes. Stand by. Bathroom break in 1 minute. Bathroom break in 1 minute.
If great programming is what you want, 910 AM is what you need.
I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. On the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. A lot of people don't know what the hell they're talking about. They may have their areas of expertise, but some people need to learn how to stay in their own lane. If you don't know, just say you don't know. So we have a lot to talk about, so we're going to jump right into this.
Catch it all right here on 910 AM Superstation. The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation or Adele Media.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. All right, we're in our second hour, and after this broadcast, we're going to, I'm going to let you hear some of what has a lot of conservatives over at Fox News upset because President Joe Biden called white supremacy the greatest threat to America. He said this at the commencement address last Saturday for Howard University. And a lot of people over at Fox News are sounding like a hit dog hollering. You know, they are ostensibly called Coup Plotter TV over at Fox News. So we'll discuss that. But right now on the line, we have Greg McKenzie, who is on the planning committee for African Liberation Day 2023 here in Detroit. And it's that time of year again for African Liberation Day, and it's taking place this weekend at Al-Kibalan Village, which is going to be Friday, May 26th and Saturday, May 27th at Al-Kibalan Village. And on the line, we have Greg McKenzie to educate us on African Liberation Day. How you doing today, Greg?
I'm doing great, Brother Mike. What up, though?
All right. Good to have you on. All right, man. So tell us what's in store for us for African Liberation Day 2023 at Al-Kibalan Village, and tell us, why do we celebrate African Liberation Day as well?
Well, African Liberation Day 2023 this year is going to be a full program of activity both Friday and Saturday. But I'd like to first answer the second question, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So we celebrate African Liberation Day. 1972, San Francisco and Washington, D.C. saw gatherings of people from the African liberation community gathering in those places to consolidate behind the efforts of our brothers and sisters struggling for their liberation on the continent. So they were aggregating financial resources and other resources to aid them in those struggles, identifying with a common destiny as an African people. And so from a Pan-African perspective, African Liberation Day is a time when we, sancophonize the idea that we are all in this struggle together. And if we don't struggle together, then we are not as strong as we would be if we did. So we celebrate and mostly call to action folks to join in that liberation struggle so that we can continue to push us forward as a people. So this year, 2023,
Okay.
both days are being held at Al-Kibalan Village because there's still much renovation work being done at the Charles H. Wright Museum, which about almost 10 years ago, we started a formal partnership. African Liberation Day Planning Committee and the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History started a formal partnership where African Liberation Day celebrations began to be held there. And so, but post that flood that occurred for us here a few years ago, the museum is still pulling it together. So we'll have the whole thing at the village, which is no short of what we'll be experiencing if we were at the museum. We'll have a Pan-African panel on Friday night. It's going to be an intergenerational panel, and so that will consist of 3 students, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders when I'm talking about students, and then we'll have 3 international correspondents representing Cuba, Tanzania, and Senegal, and then we'll have 3 scholar warriors right here from Detroit. And they'll talk with each other and with the audience of ideas such as what is it to be African? What does liberation mean in 2023? What is white supremacy and how is it rearing its sly and sublime methods in these days and times? And many, many other things. Current events like the tech union that's forming in Nairobi and so many other issues surrounding us globally. So this is what you can expect on a Friday. And then on Saturday, we'll have a main event stage that will play host to local treasures like Nanan Japo, our New African Drum and Dance Troupe, Ras Kamal Amin Ra. And then we'll have community learning circles at the half-hour marks where individuals will talk about topics from digital justice to cultural war and many other things. And last but not least, there'll be a Watoto village where the children will be having access to culturally relevant art projects that they can engage in all throughout the day so that African Liberation Day is not just a boring thing for the grown-ups that they have to sit on the sideline and watch.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So, yeah, something for everybody. We have the flyer up on our screen here. African Liberation Day 2-day weekend event, May 26th and 27th. This is taking place at Al-Kibalan Village. Give people the address for Al-Kibalan Village.
The address at Al-Kibalan Village is 7701 Harper Avenue, Detroit, Michigan 48213.
Okay, give that address again, please. And is there a contact phone number if people have any questions?
Absolutely. So the address is 7701 Harper Avenue, Detroit, Michigan, and the zip code on that is 48213. People have questions, they can contact me at 313-578-1300. Again, that's 313-578-1300.
All right. Now, usually there's an African marketplace for African Liberation Day. Are you all having an African marketplace this year?
Yes, indeed. We're going to have an African marketplace on Friday, and Friday's marketplace will feature a Pan-African food court. So since we got a Pan-African panel happening, by the way, the theme this year is Say It Loud, I'm African and Proud. So we decided that we would reach into the local talent pool and not get a keynote from abroad and just work with local folks here to have the conversation around that theme. And so that is a very Pan-African theme. And as a result, we convened the Pan-African panel and are having a Pan-African food court. But there'll also be the traditional marketplace where you can purchase many of the wonderful things that our folks in the community produce, such as yourself, good videos and DVDs, as well as handmade jewelry and all kinds of other things.
Okay, so you're going to have the African marketplace both days?
Yep, Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
And let me say, the time on Friday is the evening. It's a 6 to 9 event. Okay. On Saturday, it's a daytime, 11 to 5.
11 to 5. Okay. Now, is there an admission cost or anything like that? Let people know about that as well.
Not at all. This is 100% free for the community, and it's also produced by a number of organizations. So African Liberation Day Planning Committee is a committee of committees.
Okay.
It is a club of clubs. It's 40 plus organizations that come together and donate $100 each. Some more, but most $100 each to produce this event. So it's a for us, by us sponsored event. And then we raise money to give a scholarship away to graduating seniors with preference to those who will be attending HBCUs. But we don't only give money to people who are graduating high school to go to college. Any furthering of their education, be it in a trade or whatever the case may be, we provide a scholarship if they answer the essay with the written. If they answer the writing prompt with the written essay. And so African Liberation Day, Liberation Through Education, is the sub-theme every year. And now we've named that scholarship that we give away after Baba Al Severs, who was the treasurer for many years.
Right.
And his faithful role as the treasurer, he pushed hard every year that we made sure we put some money aside to invest in the education of our young people.
Right. Yeah, we miss Baba Al. Okay, so
No doubt.
For some people who may not study African history, may not be sure if they're African or not, what have you, explain Pan-Africanism for somebody who is a beginner, for somebody who doesn't attend events like this. What exactly is Pan-Africanism?
Sure. Well, so seeing Africa as the center of the world, seeing things through the lens of Africa first. And so seeing yourself as an African and then as a result in union with others who have Africa as their center. So no matter where we are distributed, across the globe based on our experience of enslavement and in some instances our own personal choices to travel, we are one people. And this was an idea that has been around a very long time. Marcus Mosiah Garvey may not be the founder, the progenitor of the idea, but he gets a lot of credit as one of the forerunners of Pan-African ideology. Malcolm X, as a disciple through his parents of Marcus Garvey, continued to forward and push Pan-Africanism as an idea. And the organization of African unity is where we get the timing for the celebration of African Liberation Day.
Right.
So, the Pan-African, I guess if I did some justice to the definition of simplifying it, is really just seeing Africa as your center and then unifying with all others who do the same.
Yeah, it's basically the concept that all African people should be united and our futures are intertwined, regardless of where we are geographically, or who our colonizers were or who our colonizers are, that our futures are intertwined as well. Okay, now so that you're going to have edutainment, you're going to have live performances, you're going to have you said you're going to have a panel discussion, intergenerational.
Yeah.
So
sure. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, tell us about that.
I feel like
it's taking place.
I feel like a big part of how the powers that colonize the world and oppress people and extract resources and practice white supremacy and all of the other things that, keep this power structure the way that it is, they have disconnected the pipeline between the generations. And so an intergenerational conversation is a very powerful format for talking. Young people have some ideas that come out of the soil of these times. The elders have some ideas and wisdom that come from hard-fought lessons that they've learned through life. And those in between are halfway between both. But the reality is having a conversation with all of those age groups included, as well as all of the different geographies that will be present, is just a platform or quilt for a very rich dialogue on ideas and a broad perspective that can come out of it. And it brings young people into the conversation so that they're not falling asleep, not wanting to participate because their classmates are on stage and they're talking to them. And so now the conversation has a voice of theirs present, which gives them permission to be present and not see this as not pertaining to them. But I want to say this real quick.
Okay.
On Friday, prior to that panel discussion, the African Liberation Day Planning Committee, in coalition with the Center for Pan-African Studies, headed up by Brother Dennis Boatwright, will be engaging in a corrective literature campaign based on Dr. Zahi Hawass coming down to the Huntington Center on his 11th stop on this tour to say that Africans had nothing to do with ancient Egypt.
Black African.
And
Okay,
so,
hold it right there, Greg. We're coming up on the break. We'll let you finish on the other side of the break. Okay, stand by. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. We're speaking with Greg McKenzie of the African Liberation Day Planning Committee here in Detroit. We'll be back in a few minutes. Bathroom break in 4 minutes. Stand by. Bathroom break in 4 minutes. Stand by, everybody. All right, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Stand by. We have the link right on the homepage of our website. I'm gonna post the link here, the links here again. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting our Sunday night show, help cover some expenses. Bathroom break in 2 minutes. Bathroom break in 1 minute. So at our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, we have the information for our PayPal and Cash App links. Our Cash App account is $ the AHN show, SHOW. When you go to it, it'll say Michael, and make sure my picture there. These other ones are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. So be sure you type in the full tag, $ the AHN show, SHOW. If you click right here on our link, it shows our QR code. Bathroom break in 1 minute.
The History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. A lot of these people don't know what the hell they're talking about. They may have their areas of expertise, but some people need to learn how to stay in their own lane. If you don't know, just say you don't know. So we have a lot to talk about, so we're going to jump right into this.
Catch it all right here on 910 AM Superstation.
Welcome back to the African History Network show. All right, right before the break, we were speaking with Greg McKenzie of the African Liberation Day Planning Committee here in Detroit. Greg, you were talking about Dr. Zahi Hawass and his disinformation campaign that he's going on. Go ahead and finish your thought, okay?
Yeah, so we're going to be partnering with, well, actually under the leadership of Center for Pan-African Studies, Brother Dennis Boatwright's organization, and basically doing a corrective literature campaign where we'll be passing out information to correct some of the falsehoods that he's propagating on his 23 city tour he's doing in May and June, and with an 11 stop here. And we're looking to just really utilize that gathering that he's doing down there at about 4:30. We'll be arriving at Congress in Washington to just distribute information to people and let them know the African Liberation Day is going on right at a Kibalan village, and they can come over there. But in the meantime, if they're going to stay where they are, here's some factual information to follow up on what you're seeing here at his presentation.
Okay, so Dr. Zahi Hawass from Egypt, and he used to be the head of antiquities there. He's going on a multi-city tour, and he is disassociating Black Africans from the history of Egypt, and basically saying that it has, Black Africans had nothing to do with ancient Egypt, the building of the pyramids, the building of the temples, etc. I interviewed Dr. Molefi Kete Asante yesterday, and we talked about Queen Cleopatra and the documentary series from Jada Pinkett-Smith on Netflix. We also talked some about Dr. Zahi Hawass and this disinformation tour that he's going on as well. So, okay, so good work there. All right. Well, look, we're out of time here. Let people know once again when African Liberation Day is taking place and where.
African Liberation Day 2023 is taking place both days at the Kibalan Village, 7701 Harper Avenue, Detroit, Michigan, 48213. Friday, May 26th at 6 p.m. with an intergenerational Pan-African panel. And then Saturday, May 27th, starting at 11 a.m. with a full day of activities for the entire family.
All right. Do you all have a website people can get information, or you have like a social media platform?
Yeah, so it's out there. The flyers out there on Facebook. Our Kibalan Village, I know for a fact it's on their website. Not the website, but the Facebook. So if you go to Facebook, look up our Kibalan Village, you'll see the schedule for both Friday and Saturday. And again, I can be reached directly at 313-578-1300. And of course, you can always reach Brother Paul Taylor, the chairperson for African Liberation Day, 313-477-1146.
Okay. All right. And I posted the flyers on my personal page, Michael Imhotep, as well. We'll put that on our fan page, the African History Network, as well. All right, Greg.
Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you.
Okay, man. All right, take care. Have a good day. Tell everybody I said Hotep.
All right.
All right, peace. All right. So that was Greg McKenzie from the African Liberation Day Planning Committee. Okay, I want to go to this next story. We're going to go to clip 3 here from this article. Clip 3 is on Twitter. Doug, let me know if we still have that caller there, please, Doug, also. Okay, so we didn't get a chance to get to this story last week. Fox News calls Joe Biden's speech at Howard University evil, and a host on Fox News declares America the least racist country in the world, Now, I'm not sure what type of survey she took or anything like this. Now, this is from Rolling Stone magazine, picked up by Yahoo News.com, May 14th, 2023, by Peter Wade. So Fox News was not happy with President Joe Biden's commencement address to Howard University, which one Fox host called, quote unquote, pandering, and led another Fox host to declare America the least racist country in the world. Maybe if Joe Biden had told the Proud Boys, and some of the Proud Boys we know were convicted of seditious conspiracy because they tried to overthrow the government. Maybe if he had told them to stand back and stand by, maybe Fox News wouldn't have a problem with it. Maybe they would, have a town hall meeting for him or something like that, like CNN did. Racism has long torn apart. Torn us apart. Racism has long torn us apart. Joe Biden told the crowd during his speech to Howard University, historically black college and university, HBCU, in Washington, D.C. on Saturday. This was Saturday, May 13th. He said, it's a battle that's never really over. It's a battle that's never really over. The president then called white supremacy, quote, the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland. He's correct. The most dangerous terrorism threat to our homeland. And FBI Director Christopher Wray has basically said the same thing. So Fox News is in denial. Fox News is in denial. But when you lie about Dominion voting machines, when you have people who claim that the election was stolen and things like this, they can't handle the truth. They make money just blatantly lying to their viewership, and their viewership skews older white men who are not college educated. And a lot of them are easy to dupe. Quote, I'm not saying this because I'm at a black HBCU. I say it wherever I go, end quote, President Joe Biden said. Now, Biden has made efforts to combat white supremacy during his administration, including a national strategy to counter domestic terrorism, including racially or ethnically motivated violent extremism. But his statements at Howard University clearly ruffled some feathers at Fox. Now, maybe some of the people whose feathers are ruffled at Fox is because some of their friends are being prosecuted and convicted and going to prison because they were at the January 6, 2021 insurrection. They may know some people that could be part of the problem. Some of their friends are going to prison. Quote, everyone, because it was so naked, could see what an obvious pander, end quote, one host commented. Another idiot said, host Rachel Campos Duffy. Actually, we got a clip here. We're going to go. This is what I want to do, Doug. Let's go to that first clip in that article from the recount. It's on Twitter. This is President Joe Biden. Let's go to this clip here in Twitter.
Racism has long torn us apart. It's a battle that's never really over. But on the best days, enough of us have the guts and the heart to stand up for the best in us. Stand up against the poison. White supremacy, as I did my inaugural address, to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy. And I'm not saying this because I'm at a black HBCU. I say it wherever I go.
You heard the reaction to that statement.
Wow.
I think even to the students who were present there at Howard, everyone, because it was so naked, could see what an obvious pander.
Yeah, he said the battle is never over. We're never going to get there because this is clearly a battle that helps him politically. I think it's so cynical. I think it's actually evil to lie about America. That is not America. America is not racist. America is the least racist country in the world, which is why we have right now people, clamoring to get into our country. Mm-hmm. That's just a fact. Yeah.
Okay. Now, once again, see, y'all think I'm making this up. That's Coup Plotter TV. That's Fox News. Now, you had the female co-host. That was this idiot. What's her name? Hold on. I'll get you her name. Rachel Campos Duffy. She said, this is clearly, she said, I think it's so cynical. I think it's actually evil to lie about America, things like this. Obviously, this idiot has never read a history book dealing with the history of America. She, maybe all the books she wants to read are on the banned reading list book from Florida or something like that. Obviously, she's never read a history book. She's probably never read books dealing with the Civil War or Reconstruction. She's probably never read Before the Mayflower or anything like this. She's probably never seen the documentary series Eyes on the Prize dealing with the Civil Rights Movement. Okay. And what you have at Fox News, you have some hit dogs that are hollering. That's what you have. They don't want to admit this. Now, she said that people are risking their lives to come to this country because it's the greatest country in the world. No, what that tells you is that where they're coming from is so terrible that they're going to risk their lives to come here. That's what that tells you. Where they're coming from is so terrible that they're going to risk their lives to come here. Now, yes, there are going to be some advantages. Yes, they don't know all the nuances of the history of racism in America, things like this. But that tells you how terrible it is where they're coming from. We'll continue this history lesson on the other side of the break. And I want you to hear, there's another clip from Fox News. I think there's another clip from Fox News as well. It's important to understand what goes on over at Coup Plotter TV, because their Lord and Savior, Donald Trump, is running for re-election. And then you've got the other guy, Ron DeSantis, and Florida needs to be desanitized. He's about to announce he's running for president as well. You listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, back from break in 4 minutes. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by. Back from break in 1 minute. Stand by.
And where we've come compared to where we are, and what on race, and then what the left wants to do to restart race.
The Superstation, Detroit's only African-American talk radio. If great programming is what you want, 910 AM is what you need.
I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. On the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. A lot of people don't know what the hell they're talking about. They may have their areas of expertise, but some people need to learn how to stay in their own lane. If you don't know, just say you don't know. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to jump right into this.
Catch it all right here on 910 AM Superstation. The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation or Adele Media.
Welcome back to the African History Network show. All right, so right before the break and right before the disclaimers, I think they give me more disclaimers than anybody else. But okay, it's all right. I'll take it. You know, hey, fine with me. That means I'm doing my job. So we were talking about this story that over Fox News, they're going crazy. They're going crazy. Now they had to pay $787 million for lying in their broadcast about the Dominion voting system. A $2.7 billion lawsuit is coming from Smartmatic as well about lies they told about Smartmatic voting systems also. So watch out for that. But this article from Rolling Stone, Fox News calls Biden's speech evil, declares America the least racist country in the world. Okay. And what you have here are a bunch of hit dogs that are hollering. Now, they want to say that America is the least racist country. They want to act like racism doesn't really exist, things like this. This is Rachel Campos Duffy said this is clearly a battle that helps him politically. I think it's so cynical. I think it's actually evil to lie about America. Now, obviously, I'd like to know which history books have you read, Rachel? Which history books have you read? Now, I want to go to this second clip here. This is right underneath the clip of President Joe Biden. It's about 25 seconds. In 25 seconds is about all I can tolerate of Cleopatra TV. Let's go to this second clip. I want you to hear these idiots. Go ahead, Doug.
And where we've come compared to where we are and what on race, and then what the left wants to do to restart race challenges in our country. Yeah. I mean, the is divide, exclude, and indoctrinate. They want us to not get along when our default right now as Americans is to want to love each other, want to work together, want to be together. Yeah.
Okay. Want to work together, want to be together, want to love each other, things like this, right? He said DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, stands for divide, exclude, and something else. Because they attack DEI, they attack Black Lives Matter, they attack anything that's beneficial to African Americans. They attack this on Cleopatra TV. Okay, now let's look at this article here that just came out in the past couple of days. This came out May 16th, 2023. This is from Tulane.edu, Tulane University. Study: rising costs of racial and ethnic health inequities in U.S. surpass $450 billion. Rising costs of racial and ethnic health inequities in U.S. surpass $450 billion. So if America is the least racist country in the world, then the rising costs of ethnic and health inequities in other countries must be astronomical. It must be into the trillions, as Rachel Campos Duffy said. Now, if we look at this article here, racial and ethnic health inequities cost the United States economy $451 billion in 2018, a sharp increase from the previous estimate of $320 billion in 2014, according to a new study published in the Journal of American JAMA, Journal of American Medical Association, by Tulane University researchers. The study also found the total burden of education-related health inequities for persons with less than a college degree in 2018 reached $978 billion, about 2 times greater than the annual growth rate of the U.S. economy the same year. Other key findings were most of the economic burden for racial and ethnic inequities, 69% was borne by the African American population due to the level of premature mortality. Also, African American persons had the highest economic burden of racial and ethnic health inequities in most states. Okay. When researchers looked at the economic burden of health inequalities by education levels, they found that adults with a high school diploma had the highest burden, $9,982, followed closely by adults with less than a high school diploma, $9,467, and then adults with some college, $2,228. Read the rest of this article here, okay? We can go on and talk about structural inequities. We can talk about African-American farmers, and then we know that at Fox News, they attacked the debt forgiveness that was in the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan for farmers of color. You even had people like Senator Tim Scott, who just announced he's running for president, Black Republican Senator Tim Scott, who attacked the debt forgiveness for farmers of color, including African-American farmers. So, this is the type of nonsense that we see coming from Fox News. All right. Now, also, I want to, we were talking about the January 6th insurrection, and they may be upset because some of their friends got arrested and went to prison, being convicted. This is from CNBC.com. I talked about this article when I was on Faraji Muhammad's show a couple of weeks ago. DOJ says at least 1,000 Trump supporters arrested for January 6th Capitol riot. Don't tell me the people over Fox News don't know. None of these people that got arrested and convicted and are in prison or took guilty pleas. March 6, 2023. DOJ says at least 1,000 Trump supporters arrested for January 6th Capitol riot. At least 1,000 people so far have been arrested on charges related to the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol. It was an insurrection. The Department of Justice, the DOJ said, Department of Justice said, more than half of these defendants have pleaded guilty to crimes. The update comes as the department is investigating former President Donald Trump. We know Fonnie Willis is about to lower the boom on him. And he, between Alvin Bragg and Fonnie Willis and things, they're about to tear his behind up. This ain't gonna be a hot boy summer for Donald Trump. I'm telling you right now, this is not gonna be a hot boy summer for him. At least 1,000 people so far have been arrested on charges related to the January 6, 2021 insurrection. About 518 people have pleaded guilty to federal crimes so far, the DOJ said in an update marking 26 months since the riot. Now, this was March 6th. This came out. Since then, is about 600 people or so have pleaded guilty or been found guilty. They're still looking for another 1,000 people as well. Okay, maybe Fox News can help them find them because they probably watch Fox News. They can, help the government out. Hear something, see something, say something. Fox News. Y'all could probably help a brother out and find some of these domestic terrorists. Around 1/3 of Capitol riot defendants have been charged with assaulting, resisting, or impeding police during the attack. Because they assaulted about 140 police officers. About 420 defendants have already been adjudicated and sentenced for their criminal activity. Now it's close to 600 now. Another 53 people were found guilty at trials, the Department of Justice said. Okay, so I think Fox News is upset because some of their friends are going to prison. They're not mad at Biden. I think they're mad at Merrick Garland, who's sending some of their friends to prison. Okay. I want to go to this. Let's go to the phone lines quickly. We got James holding line 1. Hey, James, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from. Thanks for holding.
Oh, yes, sir. I just wanted to thank you for all of the information that I'm getting.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome, man. You're welcome. Thanks. Which city are you in?
I beg pardon?
Which city are you in?
Flint.
Oh, Flint, Michigan. Okay. All right. All right. No problem, James. Okay, keep listening, okay? Thanks for calling.
Yes, sir.
Okay, no problem. All right. We talked about the Little Mermaid. Fox News is gonna love this story here. They're gonna love this segment. We talked about the Little Mermaid. Tag Fox News in on social media here in this segment of the show. They need to watch this. Back in October 2022, we discussed Halle Bailey, not Halle Berry, because there was one idiot on social media who said, "Oh, Halle Berry she married a white man," something like that. This is Halle Bailey. Halle Bailey's in her 20s. This is not Halle Berry. Okay, these are two different. I know all black people look alike. These are two different people. Okay, The Little Mermaid's Halle Bailey said, "As a child, seeing a black Ariel would have changed my life." Okay, this is an article from theguardian.com that came out May 20th, 2023. When we come back, I want to share a segment with you from Roland Martin Unfiltered back from October 2022 when we talked about the racist backlash that Halle Bailey was getting for being the Little Mermaid in the new live action Disney movie that debuts May 27, 2023 of The Little Mermaid. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. All right, stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by. Back from break in 2 minutes. Back from break in 1 minute. Welcome back to the African History Network show. All right. Halle Bailey stars in the new live action version of The Little Mermaid from Disney. Debuts May 27th, 2023. In a article from theguardian.com, Halle Bailey talks about playing The Little Mermaid. And, we talked about this back in October 2022 here on the African History Network show. The Little Mermaid's Halle Bailey said, as a child, seeing a black Ariel would have changed my life. From tween YouTube sensation to pop star to Beyonce's tour mate, now the actor and musician is about to star in the live action remake of the Disney classic. She talks about overcoming self-doubt, her soulmate sister Chloe, and a racist backlash. Okay, so very quickly here, it talks about Bailey is a Disney star cut from old-fashioned cloth. She is impossibly polite, awestruck by new life as a Disney princess, ignoring the negativity, more on the latter, and seemingly utterly lovely and unflappable, or at least well media trained, or probably both. Now, somehow, despite the imminent release of a reported $150 million to $250 million blockbuster that will ultimately rise or fall on her performance as a character already beloved by millions, she is perfectly calm. The original Little Mermaid came out in 1989 as the AIDS crisis raged, adapting the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale into an animated children's film that remains a top 5 contender in any list of the best Disney films of all time. It has a history of being more subversive than it might initially appear. Ursula the Sea Witch was based on the drag queen Divine, while Ariel's dissatisfaction with the constraints of her life under the sea have long been viewed as a metaphor for coming out. Somebody announcing that they're LGBTQ. Or if that doesn't work for you, might prefer, or that doesn't work, you might prefer to see the film as a beautiful story about a young woman changing her core identity to please a man, as the comedian Trevor Noah joked on The Daily Show last year. Okay, so check this out as well. We know there was an article from NBC News back in September 22nd, 2022, where she discussed Halle Bailey also said, seeing a black version of Ariel would have changed my outlook on life. Okay, so check out that article from NBC News as well. Okay, so back on October 2nd, 2022, I think it was. I was on Roland Martin September 16th, 2022. I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered, and Reecie Colbert was sitting in for Roland. I was on the panel with Dr. Greg Carr and Dr. Jason Nichols, and we talked about the Little Mermaid inspires joy for young black girls, but intense anger for bigots. Let's go to this clip, please, Doug.
With the positive news, there is negative. Here are some of the folks that are upset that Disney cast a black woman to play a mermaid. We have Kaiser, who says Mermaid is a traditional Danish tale, 100% European culture. Stop stealing others, like Pinocchio Italian, Lord of the Rings. Even Game of Thrones is based on European. In fact, 98% of Disney classics are stolen European stories. This is so stupid. Anyway, so Matt Walsh says it isn't scientific to have a black mermaid.
All right, Max Winter says, a black actor playing the Little Mermaid really is a case of white erasure. All forms of art, including fairy tales, are meant to be reflections of the author's experiences and observations. Hans Christian Andersen probably based the Little Mermaid based on experiences he went through in his home country of Denmark. So it makes sense that most of his characters would be white, since that's the world and the people he was surrounded by. Yeah, I'm given the way that we deal with these sorts of issues, I'm sympathetic to that. Now, I would be fine, like we talked about yesterday. We don't have to rehash the entire thing, but
pause it right there.
If we all agreed,
pause it right there. We run out of time. Okay, now, hey, Doug, go to. We're going to go to the next clip here. We're going to go to clip number 5 and start that up at the 7-minute 35-second mark because I'm on the panel as well, and we get into this discussion. Let's go to clip 5, Doug.
So, I mean, for me, I just part of the fun of it is starting to be how just completely unhinged these people are about it. Like, I didn't have interest in the Game of Thrones prequel. I haven't watched Game of Thrones. But now I'm like, well, let me check it out because this black guy is pissing them off, or the Lord of the Rings thing they have going on. They're mad about the black people. Like, these are not real characters. Y'all already don't see black people as human anyway, so it should be less of a stretch to see black people play half mermaid, half whatever.
Well, yeah, with the Lord of the Rings and these other fictitious science fiction things like this. First of all, they act like they never heard of the African Moors that went all throughout Europe, intermixed into the European population and changed the complexion of many Europeans. Number one. Number two, I remember back in 2015 on the History Channel, they had a series called Barbarians Rising. And it dealt with like 700 years of invasion of the Roman Empire. And the first episode dealt with Hannibal Barca, Hannibal of Carthage, and the Carthaginians and the Punic Wars. And they portrayed Hannibal as an African, which he was. These the Carthaginians, descendants of the Phoenicians. And some white people lost their minds. And it wasn't a brother like you had to look there and look at him for 5 minutes and listen to the tonality of his voice to determine if he was African descent. No, Nicholas Pinnock, you can look at that brother. That's a brother right there with a thick black beard. Okay, so they were correct. A lot of white people lost their minds. This ties into white fear. This ties into Roland's book. Yeah. They're seeing these demographic changes here in the country, and not all white people, but these people that voted for Trump. They see these demographic changes in the country, and they can't handle it. And then they go to their escape. They go to their escape, which is science fiction. They go to their escape, which is a Disney movie. And then Negroes in the Disney movie. They're gonna have an Andy Griffith marathon because there's no black people in Mayberry.
Okay, pause it right there, Doug. We're out of time here. All right, that was a classic right there. Okay, look, visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. We're out of time. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. Right now is correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next time. Peace. Okay, let's continue here. We'll play a little bit more of that clip here, and then I have to get out of here.
Because there's no black people in Mayberry. They keep trying to go to their escapes, right? And we keep popping up. So, and then you look at the YouTube, the trailer on YouTube has 1.5 million dislikes, things like this. So a lot of these people have just totally lost their minds. They just totally lost their minds. So
look at I'm sorry, look at it though. They're gonna make their money up in the Spanish market. Disney is global. This movie, these hillbillies in the United States ain't gonna stop this train. They're gonna make their money up in Latin America.
Oh yeah, they're gonna make it. African Americans go see it. And I understand. My daughter's 5 years old, and I watched the whole thing of the little girl's reaction to it. I'm glad I saw it before here because it brought tears to my eyes. Here, my daughter's 5 years old, right? My daughter loves Paw Patrol. She likes Sesame Street. She likes Doc McStuffins, things like this. So we need to flip this and like do lectures dealing with like the origins of the mermaids and where all this stuff comes from, things like this as well. But this is just the reaction from many Europeans is just, you don't have anything better to do than this?
No.
The attack Haley Bailey, you don't have anything better to do than this? So.
And I have to say, Halle Bailey, I met her at the VP's residence, and for Juneteenth, and she's so she's like a mermaid in person. Like, she's just so lovely and sweet, and she has this just really divine voice and this great energy. So I love that for her. I love that for little Black girls and everybody. And, I'm gonna be honest, I don't let my kid watch like the super white cartoons like Coco Melon. I'm like, everybody got green eyes, blue eyes, everybody's super white. I'm like, where are the Black cartoons? So she watches, Motown Magic. I let her watch the animals, so she does Word Party, other kind of stuff. But I'm happy that there are a lot of shows for her to watch. Don't judge me, or you can, I don't care. But I know a lot of people don't like their kids watching TV. But
God for Nollywood, because somebody got to tell our stories that we have. Disney is not for us. Disney out there trying to make money.
No,
so
I understand.
Thank God for the African film market, because at some point, when we get our act together, the American Negro gonna be sitting somewhere with our $5 in our hand, talking about. Anyway,
well, that's true. That's
the African market, things like that. But what I think also it's important for us to do, and you may want to weigh in this, Greg, if we had time. These white supremacists are largely attacking this African American woman. Halle Bailey.
No question.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't want that to be lost in this whole Disney movie. Okay, because she talked about, I was reading an article from Screen Rant where she talked about her grandparents encouraging her, I think it was her grandparents encouraging her in dealing with these white supremacists and these attacks on social media, things like that. So that's a layer that I don't want to be lost in the white capitalism, the corporations, and things like this.
I don't know what to tell you.
Dr. Carr is like, hey, that's what you signed up for.
I don't know what to. At some point, we're going to have to make some decisions, or some decisions are going to be made for us. So this diversity, equity, inclusion approach to liberation, of course, is a complete and utter dead end. So yes, she should be defended. We have to deal with that.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
But let's be very clear. As you said, Reecie, if you have power, use it. So we shouldn't be the ones defending her. Disney needs to have all the smoke for every white supremacist that they have contributed to their political campaign.
Yeah.
That they have emboldened. In other words, this is not our fight. This is Disney fight. Because Disney getting ready to pimp the Black community for another $2 billion, like they did Black Panther. So when these white boys come for her, it don't need to be us. Yeah, we should say, but it need to be Disney. And Disney's not going to do that. Why? Because Disney don't give a damn about her either. This is all, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I don't have an answer other than you got to have your own stuff. We make our own documentary, and we've done this.
Right.
We've done this.
Right.
But
going back to Oscar Micheaux, going back in the early 1900s.
But at the same time,
we had race movies. When we had race movies.
Well, we got Gracie's Corner on YouTube. We got our own stuff. Corner. But guess what?
Disney.
When it comes to a kid and cartoons.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm Team Disney on that one. I know, Dr. Carr, you can drag me, but I am Team Disney. Dr. Nichols, you're shaking your head. Go ahead. What you got?
Yeah, let me get a word in. I have a 3-year-old myself, and I understand my 3-year-old loves Peppa Pig. So she's sitting around here walking around talking like a British person. So. I will say this. I think it's important, and this was kind of stated, but I think it's important for us to make cartoons for our kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You better believe Matt Walsh, who you just showed, who I think was trying to be funny with that whole translucent thing, but he's not funny.
No.
But at any rate, Matt Walsh works for the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire
wants to
get out of political content and get into cultural stuff. They want to make movies. They want to make cartoons because they realize that some Black kid probably too is going to be looking and see a cartoon that engages them, but is secretly giving them political messages. It hurt my heart. One of the things that hurt my heart so much about, I don't even like saying his name, but a guy from Philadelphia, who, he made Fat Albert. And that was so important for kids my age. That was so important for us to see a bunch of Black kids who lived in urban communities and how great that was. And then, conversely, I remember as a kid when I was young, you saw He-Man. And this is what tripped me out. My boy pointed this out to me. Here you have this white, blonde-haired, muscular guy, and he's the master of the universe. I was like, hide it from us. You know what I mean? And then, of course, G.I. Joe was trying to get us all to join the military. So again, they're sending our children messages through this kind of stuff. And it's cool when you have a Doc McStuffins. And it's, The Little Mermaid, I think some of that story, just like Beauty and the Beast, I wouldn't let my daughter see it because I think it, tells them it's okay, deal with somebody's abuse. Talk about it. I wouldn't let them see it. I think it sends the wrong message to little girls. That you just be patient with somebody while they abuse you. I think it's important for us to make the kinds of stories we want to see instead of advocating and saying, hey, big capitalist white company, please please show me, please take the same recycled story that we've seen 100 million times and do it over again, rather than when we've got so many great Black children's authors who could, their stories could be made into cartoons, and you can't even tell me that you need a big corporation. My kids used to watch this guy named Blippi. I don't know if you've ever seen him.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Absolutely.
And he's a random dude who was going nowhere with his life, and he just put on a colored hat and started playing with toys outside his apartment in the dirt and filmed it. And now he makes $20 million a year making children's content. He doesn't even like kids. He said it in an interview. He's like, I don't even like kids.
Wow.
But he has been able to monetize this, and kids can't take their eyes off of him. And now he's got a cartoon, he's got his live action stuff. And I think we can do the same things. Just like the stuff Roland is doing. I'll give props to Roland for a second. The stuff Roland's doing by trying to, I read he was promoting HBCU sports and all of that, going into sports content. I want him to hire me because I have the best sports commentary in the world. I'm always right. But I think that we need to expand into children's material, because guess what? That's when they're trying to get our kids when they're young and give them subtle messages, about what they want from us.
Yes, right. Turn Mami Wata loose. Let them Negroes from the Caribbean and West Africa. Ain't no mermaids in the African women been in the water since the beginning of water. And that's a whole different story. But that whole weak woman, princess, that's how you end up with Queen Elizabeth is dead, and the Star of Africa in her scepter, the largest diamond in the world. In other words, that whole women are weak. The whole cultural model is anti-human. It's not even good for white people. So you're right. I agree with you, Doc. I don't know about letting any children look at this patriarchal stuff. The Little Mermaid.
And just very quickly, when you look at the origin of a lot of these stories we tell our children, Cinderella, Snow White, King Midas, Rumpelstiltskin, things like this, they originate in England. Okay, so they orientate our children to kings and queens and Europeans being in power, Europeans being in control.
And to murder. Humpty Dumpty and Humpty Dumpty is about a plot against the king. Rockabye Baby is about killing the next heir. In the treetop, the baby, down will come cradle baby and all. In other words, these people talking about murder, and it's all in their children's stories.
And of course,
children's stories had a violent nature to them, and they were toned down. And then they were toned, they brought here, and then they were toned down and fed to the children, but we feed it to our children.
I needed another mom on this panel with me because I'm outnumbered here. I'm the only one.
No, we're not beating up on you.
No. I'm just saying, listen, I guess I'm the unserious one because I can't wait for this, and I love Halle. But let me close it out with this tweet, which I thought was hilarious. It says, so after all the Africans y'all threw in the ocean, y'all surprised a mermaid is black?
Lord have mercy.
Listen.
That was incredible.
I saw that one.
Come on, we got to keep the same energy, y'all. Y'all want us? What we doing? What we doing? But
all right. So that was from September 16, 2022. Roland Martin Filtered. Lastly, before we get out of here, check out this article. I've talked about it before. This deals with Mami Wata. Mami Wata deals with the origin of the mermaids. This is an article from face-to-faceafrica.com. face-to-faceafrica.com. Mami Wata, the most celebrated mermaid-like deity from Africa who crossed over to the West. This is from July 20th, 2018 by Elizabeth Ofasua Johnson. Here's a depiction of Mami Wata. This is who Dr. Greg Carr was talking about. This is what I was talking about in that segment when I was talking about doing lectures on the origins of the mermaid. I'm talking about Mami Wata. Despite being considered as an adaptation of the Western mermaid, Mami Wata is a deity that has existed in Africa. A deity that has existed in Africa for as long as African history and culture can recollect. The half-fish, half-human female water spirit is highly respected, feared, and worshipped, presenting a balance between dark, divine, mysterious, and angelic existence. The deity is believed to be a woman with a half-human and half-fish appearance, with the ability to transform wholly into any form of her choice. The deity could also take up the form of a half-human, half-snake, Her upper body is that of a woman, while her lower body is a fish with a tail. Mami Wata, W-A-T-A, is often presented with long, healthy hair, enviable beauty, and a dark yet appealing mysteriousness. Her human features appear similar to that of the women in the areas in which she is. Here's another depiction of Mami Wata, and she has locks also. Now, Mami Wata traces back to the earliest of African societies as recorded by the griots and keepers of history. The Dogon's creation myth, the Dogon who are in Mali and Burkina Faso, D-O-G-O-N, the Dogon's creation myth tells the stories of Mami Wata and traces records of its existence to more than 4,000 years ago. Mesopotamian myths also tell of the great water goddess in their story of creation known as Mami Aruru, A-R-U-R-U, to be the creator of life. The name is traced to the early languages of many modern African societies today. The first root of its name is considered to be from Ethiopian and Egyptian Coptic societies. In the Ethiopian Coptic language, the word mama, M-A-M-A, was used as a description of truth and wisdom, and the term Watur, U-A-T-U-R, meant ocean water. Another definition of the name traces to the early Sudanese society, where the word Wata, W-A-T-A, referred to a woman. The name is often linked to a single entity, but represents the strongest and most significant of all water spirits that exist. Mami Wata was developed from the African culture that believed in the existence and worship of mystical creatures. Mami Wata is the bigger goddess with smaller followers, some of which were also men and had the same appearance as their goddess. Stories are told of her followers coming to shore every now and then to deceive seamen and capture them to be taken in the water kingdom. The captives were a source of entertainment until they were offered as sacrifices to Mami Wata. In West Africa and some parts of Eastern Africa, the deity is called Mami Wata or Mami Wata, Maame. Modern African societies refer to her as Mami Wata. In some parts of Eastern Africa, among the Swahili or Kiswahili speaking group, she is called Mamba Munti, Munti, M-U-N-T-I. The African deity has managed to find homes in many other societies in the Western world. In the Caribbean and parts of Southern America, the deity is highly respected and feared, with many stories around her identity. Many cultures till date worship the deity and train high priestesses who serve as a link between the people and their deity. Okay, so read the rest of this article here from face-to-faceafrica.com. Mami Wata, the most celebrated mermaid-like deity from Africa who crossed over to the West. All right, we have to get out of here. You can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Visit our website, theafricanhistorynetwork.com, theafricanhistorynetwork.com. You can register for my online classes there as well. All this helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting. Follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. And right on the homepage of our website, we have our social media platforms. So you can follow us there. Okay. And if you want me to do a presentation for your group or organization, email me at ahnshow at theafricanhistorynetwork.com, ahnshow at theafricanhistorynetwork.com, or email me through the website. Juneteenth is coming up. People are asking me to speak at different places for Juneteenth. So email me there as well. Remember, right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next.